With regards to spending, as you've heard me talk about on the show, it is not an issue. It is not a problem. It is the problem from which all these other issues kind of stem from. OK, but what's more important is that Trump has been terrible on this subject matter, and that's spending. 2017 fiscal year, 665 billion deficit. The next year, 779 billion deficit. The next year, 984 billion dollars in deficit. By the time this was all said and done, from January 2017 to February 2020, 3.5 trillion dollars added to the debt. He signed both that 2018 terrible bill and the 2019. This is prior to COVID. Okay, if you include COVID, you're talking about a debt increase that totals $7.8 trillion. There's a lot of myths surrounding the bill. This whole $1.7 trillion cut needs to be put into perspective because it's not in absolute terms. It's $1.7 trillion over the course of 10 years, which equals what? Roughly like $170 billion. Well, wait a minute. They also increased their spending in two efforts that maybe you got at the table agree with. That was $150 billion in defense spending and $70 billion in border security, right? Now, you may think, well, these are good things. It's still a spending increase nonetheless without removing some of the other spending. But when you actually read the bill and then you contextualize it, no, it's not like some front-ended $1.7 trillion cut. That's not what's happening. The most disastrous part of it, and when you find yourself agreeing with people like Elizabeth Warren, you maybe should be questioning how you approach spending. A $5 trillion debt limit increase is disastrous, man. I want to remind everybody, because I was talking about this on the show. This is not the first time that Congress and the president has had an opportunity to address spending. It's not the second time that they've had an opportunity to address spending. It's the third time that they've had an opportunity to address it. Budget resolution, right, in February. You had that continuing resolution in March. And with both of those, we kept being told next time is that we have to get this one through. And they're saying the same thing about this. None of those DOGE cuts have been codified in anything that has been presented. And in fact, the spending increase to what I was just mentioning actually exceeds what they uncovered mathematically, what they've uncovered with the whole DOGE initiative. And then you had back in February, which I talked about on the show, there was an amendment. I can't remember the exact amount. It was like $1.4 trillion that the Senate Rand Paul actually introduced, got voted down. I think the vote was 24-76, which means mathematically some Republicans voted against that effort. And this is what gets me about Trump, guys. Two things can be true, America. He can be good on certain issues that you feel like he was a necessary thing. He's great. But we're not helping ourselves, we're not helping the country, and you're for sure not helping the Republican Party by going along with something that he does that is objectively bad. This is what I don't get when you have people that try to oppose it, whether it be Senator Rand Paul. I'm not saying this just because they're libertarian. I'm talking specifically on the issue of spending. So you have a guy like Massie. He is foolish enough to want to go after them and say that they should be primaried. You know who he hasn't asked to primary? Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Because if you look at their voting records and as far as their Liberty scorecards, Rand and Massie crap on just about everybody else in the Congress on the issues that we find important, especially fiscally. New term everybody's using, grandstanding. Anytime you oppose something, you're just grandstanding. You're just doing it. Massie has introduced several bills. Have they been backed by a lot of the Republicans? No. But you had the Federal Reserve Transparency Act in 2015. This year alone, he's been very, very active. He introduced the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act. He introduced the Federal Reserve Transparency Act, H.R. 1123, which abolishes U.S. aid. I think we all agree that that's probably a good thing. And then you had H.R. 724, which requires transparency and CBO scoring, which actually ties in to this issue right now. And anytime someone presents to you a solution, we're told that it's not practical. We're told that it's not realistic. OK? And what I don't think is practical and what I don't think is realistic to keep kicking this can down the road and basically ensuring that you're selling off assets of unborn people. And with these spending efforts, never mind the inflationary issues that are created right now today because of their reckless spending efforts. Why do we have to keep waiting? And nobody gives me a sufficient answer for it. It's always, we can't do it right now. We have to wait. And do you believe with the track record that I just gave you with Donald Trump, with the track record that I just gave you with the Congress, that unless there is some sort of significant pushback, they're ever going to address this issue? I don't believe it.